Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. Welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be with y'all today, and I hope you're having a good day. Good to see you, Brayhard. Good to see you, Quacksplat. Good to see you, Mel. And Brayhard, congratulations. You have won the crown of Firstendom twice in a row. Congratulations. You have a crown of Big Whoop. So it's a crown of treasure, but we actually don't know what kind of treasure. But it's out there. We're going to look. 45 stream streak. My goodness, Mel. Congrats. And congrats on the job offer soon. And Crackspot, I hate to tell you this, even you were first. Even you're too slow. Hey, Craig. Yeah, prayers for you as well, Brayhard. But hopefully you find something soon. Mel dunking on George Russell once again. Did you come to expect this? Nah, you were just goofing around, Cracksplat. I get that. But, you know, I had to point out that you did not get the first. Anyway, we're going to be playing more Monkey Island 2, so let's go ahead. Let's dive on into it. So last time, Guybrush Threepwood is telling the story to his wife? I don't know if they're married yet. They get married eventually. Elaine. About how he was finding the treasure of Big Whoop. And LeChuck came back to life. I don't know how a ghost pirate came back to life because they found his mortal beard, but here's where we are. So you mess with a Catholic man, but his driver, George Russell, what do you do? And you felt genuinely distraught. Look, there are just some things that aren't that are pretty irreconcilable, is all I'm gonna say. But anyway, we're here on Booty Island. Yes, that's what it's called.
How rustic.
Yeah, it's an outhouse.
Big woodpeckers.
The fact that these... Oh, wait. Use stick with hole.
That doesn't seem to work.
Ah. Okay, so that's the big tree. We tried going to the governor's mansion, but the guard's like, you need a costume. There is a costume shop here, but they're like, oh, all of our costumes are booked. So I guess it's time to go to another island. Okay, we talked to this antique dealer.
Where do you want to go?
I'll show you on the map you gave me.
Okay, so we came from Scav Island, we've been to Booty Island, and the only other island left is Fat. Noticeably P-H-A-T-T. beginning to think this Dreads guy's not the best navigator. The thought just has occurred to me. Also, I messed with the brightness settings on the game capture a little bit, so hopefully dark areas look visible. And maybe he's the navigator you've got. This is true, Step Zero. This is true. He may not be the navigator we want, but he's the navigator Guybrush Threepwood deserves. Oh, look! Wanted,
me,
Guybrush.
Yes?
Aren't you Guybrush Threepwood?
That's right. I'm the man who swashes the ghost pirate LeChuck's buckles. Who wants to know? No, my name is Smith. Given there's a wanted poster for a Guybrush, although he has a mustache.
No, my name is Smith. You must have me confused with someone else.
Smith, eh? That's an unusual name.
Oh, but
Perhaps you have
Guybrush
some
Threepwood is normal?
identification?
Left in my other pants. Good heavens, my wallet's been stolen. Look behind you, a three-headed monkey. My ID's on the ship. You know what? Three-headed monkey. It tends to work.
A three-headed monkey.
Nice try, Guybrush. You
Oh.
better come with me. Governor Fat would like a word with you.
Uh-oh.
Well, am I under arrest?
If you want to put it that way, sir, yes.
Oh, all right. Let's go. Coming.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, Mr. Oh, excuse me.
Oh!
Well, Mr. Threepwood, I can't
I
tell you how
apologize
pleased I
for
am
having
to
to
have
show
you
this.
here as my guest.
Can't say I care much for your method of invitation. Your home is lovely. Would you like to hear? Yep.
Would you like to hear the story of the time I blew LeChuck's top?
That's a very Guybrush answer.
Funny you should mention LeChuck, as he's the reason I brought you here.
Ah, you wanted to thank me for getting rid of him, huh? Well, no thanks are necessary. You see,
Perhaps you didn't kill him quite so thoroughly as you imagined.
Well, he's a ghost. How
He
can you
looked
kill him?
perfectly healthy the last time I saw him.
Yeah, but when was
last
that?
time you saw him? Oh no, LeChuck's back.
I beg your pardon, did you say something?
Okay, everyone. For all I can do it again. He doesn't scare me. Could I hide out here for a while?
I took care of LeChuck once, I can do it again.
You'll get your chance. You see, he's put a sizable bounty on your head.
Oh?
Wait,
A bounty I intend to collect.
LeChuck put a bounty on
Oh.
my... But he's a pirate.
I guess that bounty would buy a lot of bacon grease and pure fat, huh?
Why, you can figure it out while you wait in jail for LeChuck to pick you up. Take him away.
Yes, sir, Governor Fat. Come on, you little
Why is the
weasel.
governor taking orders from a pirate? Why is a pirate allowed to put out a bounty like that? I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. Chat, do you think we'll be back?
I'll be back.
Come on. Don't try to escape or anything. Walt will chew you to bits. Okay, Walt. I'll be back to relieve you at 11.
I think we have done goofed. I want to see something. Because this game came out in an era when computer monitors were CRT, so it actually looks pretty decent on the CRT filter. I'll keep it as is.
A fine example of dieting gone horribly wrong.
This is a LucasArts game.
The door's locked. What a ferocious looking dog. Hello, little doggy.
Can I bribe
That doesn't seem
the
to
dog?
work.
What do you mean gorilla envelope?
I hope I don't have to sleep here.
Oh yeah, no. They and Sierra definitely. You want a stick, boy? Go get the stick. I didn't think this through. Okay, well.
I hope I don't have to sleep here. He's not exactly my type.
Yep, but Bones, dog. Oh, he's in the other cell anyway.
That doesn't seem to work.
I like there's a manila envelope and a gorilla envelope. Chat, you should label your manila envelopes at your place of work as gorilla envelopes. See how it goes. Okay, so when I throw the stick, it goes... No, I'd like the key. It didn't even let me try.
It's a stick.
Yeah, I know it's a stick, Guybrush.
That doesn't seem to work.
Hey, dear Hope.
I hope I don't have to sleep here. It's already pulled back.
Doing a little good, other than the fact that I'm in jail, but you know. No, the skeleton's in a different
a tibia.
cell. Although...
Watch me flip it right into my pocket. They don't call me the Bone Master for nothing.
Close enough.
Here, doggy doggy. Here, boy.
Good doggy.
Mr. Willie Gorilla, arrested for grinding his organ in public. Mr. Guybrush Threepwood, arrested for infractions too numerous to list.
Well, we're taking that. And we may as well take the gorilla one while we're at it. The bad dog hates hobbits, too. What? You call Guybrush short?
There's a banana in here and an organ.
I don't know what I expected, but I did not expect a banana to be in the folder with the paperwork about the arrest.
Hey, that tickles.
Oh, that's all of my stuff. Except my gold. They let me keep my gold. Oh, I need to return this book to the library here.
Mr. Guybrush Threepwood, arrested for infractions too numerous to list.
It is a direct sequel to the original.
Wanted, Guybrush Threepwood.
It literally starts
Hey,
with
that's
Guybrush
me,
telling
for
the story of
murder
the first
G.P.
one.
LeChuck. Also for the use of witchcraft on the person of Largo Legrand, the thievery of clothing and medically prescribed hair supplements for such witchcraft, grave robbing, trespassing, larceny without a permit, exceeding allowable FDA limit for rodent parts in Vichyssoise, unauthorized exiting from a penal institution, and
Okay, some of
releasing a
that's not my
dangerous
fault and
reptile
was
in a populated area.
incidental.
Also wanted for questioning regarding the disappearance of prescription eyewear. Reward offered for information leading to the suspect's apprehension. Threepwood is
A
to be
Monkey Island
considered
movie. That
armed
could
and
be
dangerous.
very funny or
Armed and
very
dangerous.
bad.
Right on.
We're going to take the
It's
poster.
stuck to the wall.
Well,
That doesn't seem to work. My scoutmaster would kill me if he saw me use a knife like that.
I don't think your scoutmaster would care at this time. Who's this
If
poster
I could
for?
read, I'd spend all my free time at the Fat City Library. Reginald Blackbeard.
I wouldn't say the plot's very similar to Pirates. I mean, they both have pirates that are in the Caribbean, but that's... I mean, come on. That's like such a generic setting.
I've had it with this card catalog.
At least it's not Bluebeard. I like the novel Bluebeard by Kurt Vonnegut. Oh, Distracting the Dog. I mean, come on.
Big Whoop. Unclaimed Bonanza or Myth? This is fascinating. It says here there were 4 pirates. Rapscallion, the cook. Young Lindy, the cabin boy. Mr. Rogers, the first mate. And Captain... Good heavens! Captain Marley! Wonder if there's any relation. They bury their treasure
It is
along
her.
with plenty of... booby traps on a place believed to be called Inky Island. They made a map which they divided into 4 pieces, each man taking one. Rapscallion later opened the Steam and Weenie Hut on Scab Island. It was a huge success, but fell into disrepair after Rap was killed in a flash fire. Young Lindy drifted aimlessly, down on his luck until he mysteriously came into money while panhandling on Booty Island. He used the cash to bankroll an advertising firm which failed after its gross mishandling of the Gangrene and Honey account. Mr.
Ew.
Rogers retired off the coast of Fat Island. He marketed homemade contest grog brewed in a bathtub until his recent disappearance. Captain Marley vanished while sailing in the America's Cup race. His boat was leading at the time.
Well, congrats to him. Yeah, Bluebeard, the novel, it's not like based on the fairy tale, but there's like some, I forget what it is. There's like a reference where the main character gets called that, like,
There's so many books here. I'll never be able to find anything.
based on the fairy tale.
There's so many books here. I'll never be able to find anything.
Mr. Rogers had
This is a
gangrene.
library.
Yeah, I know it's a library. Doesn't mean I can't say things.
Hi, I'm looking for a book.
It's a very good novel.
This is a library.
I quite like Kurt Vonnegut, so.
Whisper. Now, what is it?
I'm looking for a book?
Do you have a library card?
Ooh.
No. How do I get one?
I'll need some personal information. Name,
Guybrush Threepwood.
address,
Ooh, what? Okay, so we got 221B Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes, 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House. I don't know 1060 West Addison. Hopefully someone in chat. I'm going to say 10 Downing Street.
10 Downing Street?
age,
21, 21, 19, 21.
21.
occupation,
Consultant, freelance, unemployed, pirate.
vices,
Numerous. Jaywalking, murder, arson, thievery, that sort of thing. Go with jaywalking.
Jaywalking.
I see. All right. Your library card will be mailed to the address you gave me. In the meantime, take this temporary card. You
Well,
may check books out of
the
the
Prime Minister's
library,
gonna be very
but
confused.
only 4 at a time.
That's about as many titles as I can remember anyhow.
What book are
4
you
books.
looking for?
Whoops, I
Okay, so I
just
don't know
remembered
what
an
books I'm
appointment.
looking for yet, but I know
Remember,
I'm going to need them.
Books are the treasure of the mind.
There's so many books here. I'll never be able to find anything.
Please be quiet.
I love the echo effect. It reminds me a lot of Loom, which was also made by the same people. Lady Godiva, shirt off my back. Biography also. Oh my. The King of Shuffleboard, Account of the Farthington Dynasty. Gallows humor. So you're going to be executed. Dozens of things to say on the chopping block. Humor. Dumb pirate jokes. Bad puns for bad pirates. Yes.
Bad puns for bad pirates. I'll have to remember that.
Yes, hello, I would like bad puns for bad pirates.
Pardon me, miss.
What do you want this time?
Why do you have a model lighthouse here?
There's a new lighthouse being built in town. That is a scale model of what it will look like.
Well, that's cool.
Why do you need a lighthouse?
We're tired of rebuilding the wharf every time a boat goes through it. That's why it has to be very bright. It will have one of the most powerful magnifying lenses in the Caribbean.
I have a feeling Guybrush Threepwood's going to be stealing that.
Unfortunately, the bulb has burned out.
I'm looking for a book.
What book are you looking for?
I'd like bad puns for bad pirates.
Respect to a librarian who doesn't get out of her chair.
Here you go. Anything else?
I won't be needing any more books just now.
Don't slam the door on your way out.
Bad puns for bad pirates.
How bad are these?
He was stumped. Oh, well, I guess it wasn't that funny.
Oh, come on! I wanted to know what the pun was.
This looks like a lighthouse on a beach.
Shh.
Oh, yes, this looks like a safe, perfectly normal place to be. I can't interact. Oh, there we go.
I'll knock.
Password.
What do you want, kid?
Who are you and what are you doing back there? I'm selling these fine leather jackets. Heard the Legend of Mighty Guybrush open up. This is a raid. Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard the legend of the mighty Guybrush?
This is exactly what Guybrush
Well,
would do.
don't you want to hear it again?
Okay. The letter said, "Oh, come on," when the lights were flickering on and off just a few hours ago. What? Hey, OG Meep, he's hanging out my inventory. Quick! I use Meep on the wharf. How you doing, Sir Bacon?
Caught anything yet?
Are you kidding? I reached my limit hours ago.
I'm Guybrush Threepwood, a mighty fisherman.
Are you?
Oh, you are you?
I'm the best fisherman in these isles.
Oh, I beg to differ with you. I'm the best fisherman in these isles.
Can catch cold in a blizzard. Catch a fish at a restaurant.
You? Why, you couldn't catch fish at a restaurant.
Hi, I'm Guybrush
The
Threepwood. I'm
pike
going to
I
insult
catch
this
makes
person I
Pike's
just
Peak
met.
look like an anthill. That's why I'm known as the Blowfish.
Hootie?
I'm known as the Sturgeon Surgeon.
Listen, bait for brains. I'm the best around, and that is that.
Not if your hooks are as dull as your wit.
Perhaps you'd like to make a small wager, eh, Mr. Fisherman?
Oh, this will never go poorly for Guybrush Threepwood.
The
Game
fresh.
Xing for 28 month resub, my goodness. Small power outage. Oof. Makes you worry about your laptop peripherals. Ooh. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Sure, I'll take your bet.
Let me tell you what I had in mind first. If you can catch a bigger fish than I can, I'll give you my prize-winning fishing pole.
Sounds fair.
If I catch a bigger fish than you, you have to eat it raw.
I like sushi.
Ooh, you mean on rice with a little wasabi and soy sauce?
No, plain cold and with the head still on it. What do you say?
All right, it's a bet.
Great. I am really looking forward to making you eat my catch. What with all the sewage from Governor Fat's mansion, the fish are usually pretty gross. I never
Oh.
eat mine. Just sell them to restaurants. Best get fishing, buddy.
Guybrush should just jump in and catch a fish. I have a feeling we will cheat in some way because we're Guybrush Threepwood. Well, let's see where else on this island we can go. This Guybrush just fades into the distance. Waterfall, cottage, the mansion. Well, let's start at the waterfall. I don't know how we're supposed to get to the cottage, but we'll burn that bridge when we get there. Oh, isn't that pretty?
Very picturesque. That doesn't seem to work. Capsized charters. Glass-bottom boat
Right,
for
that's
sightseeing or
glass-bottom
special
boats.
interest voyages. What a big organ. I don't know how to play.
It's literally...
I don't want it to get all brown and mushy. I can't reach it.
Well, not with that attitude.
It says, trespassers not delivering foodstuffs will be persecuted.
Joke's on them, Guybrush doesn't actually know how to read. What's up, guard? Just ignore me.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in jail?
Technicalities.
You must be confusing me with my cousin, Guybrush.
Oh, I see. The resemblance is uncanny.
I think there's a fire in the kitchen.
Really? I'd better check it out.
Well, that was easy.
There's food or something stuck in the drain. I don't think this has been washed in about 10 years.
Ugh. Eat the food, Guybrush? No.
That doesn't seem to work. That doesn't seem to work. It seems to go off before stuff comes out of the tube.
What if I give him a banana? He likes
I don't
food.
think I'd better wake him up.
Oh, he's asleep and he's eating. It's horrifying.
Sleeping like a baby elephant. There are crumbs and condiments all over it.
Hmm.
It's too soggy. That doesn't seem to work.
Person in the bed needs a doctor, not a banana. What if it's Dr. Banana? Is that a pig? A pig in a blanket? I think proverbially yes, but he is technically human. I had a thought. There are the 4 pirates in this book. What if we look them up in the catalog by author? So we know one is M. Maze construction, C annotation. Military. Mathematics. Martial arts. Manatees. More why are there 2 books about manatees? Huh. See, Marley should be here, but it's not. So let's
Big
lower the
whoop.
news gun.
Unclaimed bonanza or myth? It says here there were 4 pirates. Rapscallion, the cook.
Okay, so Rapscallion.
Young Lindy, the cabin boy. Mr.
Lindy.
Rogers, the first mate.
Rogers.
And Captain Marley. They buried their treasure along with plenty of booby traps on a place believed to be called Inky Island. They made a map which they divided into 4 pieces, each man taking one. Rapscallion later opened the Steam and Weenie Hut on Scab Island. It was a huge success, but fell into disrepair after Rap was killed in a flash fire. Young Lindy drifted aimlessly, down on his luck until he mysteriously came into money while panhandling on Booty Island. He used the cash to bankroll an advertising firm which failed after its gross mishandling of the Gangrene and Honey account. Mr. Rogers retired off the coast of Fat Island. He marketed homemade contest grog brewed in a bathtub until his recent disappearance.
But
Captain Marley vanished while sailing in the America's Cup race. His boat was leading at the time.
so where's the map? Well, we got to find the 4 pieces. Let's say louse ranching for fun and profit. No. Lunch. Afternoon at Meat Hooks. There's nothing in here from Lindy. So Rapscallion. Scab Island. Self-help. Self-help. Okay, so Scallion would have already been in there, so let's go to R for Rap. Wait a minute. I'm having fun doing this. Recursion, C recursion. Okay. What was the name of the island where they supposedly hid the treasure? I guess this is actually categorized by topic. So I want to go B. Maybe there's something for Big Whoop. Nope. Big Whoop, C treasure.
I think I'll try a different drawer.
T. T for treasure. Wait, three-headed monkey. The Pride of Loch Ness. What? Titles, C headings. Toenails. I'm not reading the rest of that. Treasure, big whoop, unclaimed. I know that. I have that book. There was no island. What? You can't have fun with this, father. It's a video game. Oh dear. Hey, Beer Fox. We're in a library looking at things. Simon Finkelberth. We have a Rotata. Had mass with the sisters today, and in the gospel, it's Bartimaeus, the man born blind, calling out to Jesus. And what's really struck me was the way that his words are basically the backbone of the Jesus prayer, and just kind of reflected on the beauty. So he says, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." The Jesus prayer is, "Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner." You can see a lot of the strong parallels.
I'll show you on the map you gave me.
I just talked about how it's a beautiful and simple prayer, and something that can fill sort of sometimes the quietness, and you don't have much going on. You can kind of fall back onto it as a prayer to just kind of repeat and, just always have in your back pocket. It's a beautiful one. Had a very complicated way of telling me what to do. Yeah. Again, Dread. No, we're not going to Booty Island, Dread. Okay, so you fans saw the Salesian Sisters at the Spurs game. These fans decided to dress up. Aw, that's... It just sounds tacky. It's the Woodsmith, the bar. I didn't want to come here. Well, there's the weenie stand, which is... Rapscallion started the weenie stand.
Where'd you want to go?
I'll show you on the map you gave me.
I was looking for the spitting contest. Scab, where you go when you have a pull? Oh dear.
Sunken galleons. 3-hour tours.
3-hour
Come
tour.
on! It's all paid for by Booty Island Parks and Rec.
I'll give it a try.
A volunteer! All right, settle down, folks. This kid looks like a serious contender. What's your name, boy?
3-hour tour, I get it. Juicius Maximus III, Phlegm Master, Captain Loogie.
Juicius Maximus III.
The Juice Man, Max Mucus. He's
Ew.
juicy to the max. Spit away!
Woo! We're with you, Juicius!
I'm waiting for some wind.
Let's go! Spit!
Come on!
Oh!
Misfire! Everybody run! Maybe a little over the max on the juice there. Let's give him a big hand anyway, folks. At least he tried. Are you pirates or not? 2, 4, 6, 8. Juices Maximus has returned. Spit away!
Only one swish.
Let her rip! Woo! You can do it! Woo! You can do it! Woo! You can do it! Better not blow it, man.
What's this? A surprise turnaround in performance? Looks like third place. I think that deserves a little applause. Too bad there are only prizes for first place.
Why are there
Better luck
multiple
next
prizes for
time.
first place?
Now, how about the rest of you? Everybody already has the necessary equipment. Turn a disgusting habit into a prestige-winning skill.
Yeah, well, and also her reaction
Don't
is
let
guide.
this
Also,
grass
her
wither up
sash
and
blows in the
die.
wind.
What
think
was
there's-
that? Did I hear somebody swallow? What a waste. Thousands will spit, hundreds will win. Juices Maximus has returned. Spit away!
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter. Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
There's no wind.
Oh, he's slipping, folks. That doesn't quite qualify. Now, how about the rest of you?
Is there something I
No
need to eat
volunteers?
or
If
drink? I
Blackbeard
feel
were
like
here,
there
he'd shoot
is.
you all right now.
You're eating and this feels really gross. I'm not eating and this is really gross. Oh, hello. Hold on. Cliff. I have not been to the cliff. I want to look. Oh. That just takes me back. That was weird. I triggered a loading cutscene somehow. Okay, string is not going to support me climbing down this. Okay, what do I need to do at the costume shop again?
Excuse me. I'd really like to rent a costume.
Try us after Mardi Gras.
I'd really, really like to rent a costume.
Look, if you don't have a reservation, you don't have a costume.
I need to rent a costume.
I said I'm all out.
I have to rent a costume.
I said I'm all out.
My life depends on renting a costume.
I said I'm all out.
Did I ask you about renting a costume yet?
Next time, make a reservation.
How do I make a reservation?
You look busy. I'll come back later.
You know, I feel like the Guybrush answer is to abscond with something.
I should check with the shopkeeper first. I don't know what it is, but it sure is ugly.
There's so many costumes. Yeah, but they're all booked apparently.
I think this one's my favorite. I should check with the shopkeeper first. This is really nice. I had one like that when I was a kid. I think this one's my favorite.
You just said that about that one.
3-hour tours. 3-hour tours. Glass bottom boat.
Okay, for those of you who know this game, can I
well,
beat the
I knew you'd come back. My customers
spit contest now, or do I
always
need to get
do,
something more?
Eventually.
Do you do funerals?
Of course we do funerals. And not just those somber, all-black, three-handkerchief affairs. We do it in a rowdy Mardi Gras style with music and dancing and pallbearer races. I'd like to say we put the
Pallbearer
fun in
races.
funerals.
Okay. See, there's a key back there.
Could you show me that coffin again?
No problemo. Now, this isn't just your average 60-gallon coffin. This has the
don't think you
full
measure
75 gallons you need to
coffins by
avoid
gallon.
unsightly bone readjustments.
Could you get in and show me how big it is again?
Alrighty.
Looks like you
Look
need a
at how
drink.
freely I can wiggle my toes.
That's what I
This
thought,
thing's
but
bigger than my kitchen. Can I show you anything else?
I gotta go. See you later.
Maybe sooner than you think.
I like the LucasArts symbol
Check it
on the
out.
coffin in the corner there.
Sightseeing. See the world. Check it out.
I have one of those leaflets.
I'm interested in chartering a ship.
Great. As I mentioned, my fee is 6,000 pieces of 8.
Okay, Max, I don't have 6,000 pieces of 8. Do you have 6,000 pieces of 8? Because otherwise we're not going on a 3-hour tour.
Don't you think 6,000 pieces of 8 is a bit high?
No, I don't.
I don't have that much.
I guess you'd better find some more then, huh? 3-hour tours. Sunken galleons.
Just tell her you know Gilligan. I don't
Sightseeing.
think that was an option.
I'm searching for the treasure of Big Whoop.
Yeah? When I was the first mate on the Limping Limpet, we went in search of Big Whoop. We'd heard it was buried under a place called Blinky Island. Never found the island
Blinky
or
Island,
the
that's the name of
treasure.
the place.
The captain eventually died of boredom while we were crossing the sea of beige flotsam. Hope your luck is better.
I just remembered I'm late for a party.
You and
Mariette, it's
everybody else on
rude.
this island. If you need a ship, you know where to
Little bit.
find me. Cruises. See the world.
You know where I could get a drink? There's a bar
Where'd you want
on
to go?
Scab Island.
I'll show you on the map you gave me.
Thank goodness it doesn't show you the travel animation each time. Oh, and I have an ID. Hey, look, a monkey!
You're supposed to be cooking.
Yeah, I quit.
I had to go to the bathroom. Don't worry, I washed my hands.
Nice try, but not good enough. You're fired.
Darn.
He's cute.
Hey, Jojo.
Jojo already has a job.
Well, you know, sometimes maybe you could diversify. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Yeah, boy?
Largo Legrand has left Scab Island for good.
Well, I guess all those laxatives I was slipping into his drinks finally got to him.
What?
Don't
Fired.
worry,
I
don't
quit
put
2
'em in
weeks
all
ago.
the drinks.
Ha! Joke's on you. The company closed down
Probably.
4 weeks ago.
I'll need to see some ID for that.
Will you accept a temporary library card?
Let me see it. Is Guybrush a French name?
No, actually, it's a fictional name.
Oh, all right. Can I get you that drink now?
Yeah, I could really use it.
Name your poison.
What do you got?
Well, we have some specialty drinks here at the Bloody Lip, like Yellowbeard's Baby, Bloody Stump, and Blue Whale.
Chat, which one do I need to buy? My gut's on Blue Whale, but... What color? Well, yellow or green. Depending on... Or sometimes red. I mean, like... You need blue and yellow. Okay.
I'll have Yellowbeard's baby.
Well, you can try, but I don't think nature's on your side.
Just give me the drink, please.
Hey, I have to crack jokes. It's a union thing. That'll be 1 piece 8.
Okay.
Here you go. And here's a complimentary crazy straw. We give them to
Ooh.
all new customers of the Bloody Lip.
Bartender, get me a drink.
Name your poison.
Mix me up a blue ale.
I was
Sorry,
half right.
Blender's not big enough. Oh, but seriously, that'll be 1 piece 8.
Okay.
There she blows.
Nice place you have here. Well, see ya. It's a metronome. I don't want to get the monkey mad.
Use crazy straw with metronome.
I don't want to suck that.
Why are they served to me in beakers? No,
Where'd
it's
you want
not
to
green.
go?
They're currently blue and yellow.
I'll show you on the map you gave me.
They'll become green.
Check it out. Sightseeing.
Come on, don't be shy. Let it fly.
Okay, I'm gonna save here just in case I do this wrong. Because I don't want to have to go back and forth, back and forth.
I know you want to volunteer. It's on the tip of your tongue.
Boy, this stuff makes my spit thick.
You think spitting is gross? I'll tell you what's gross. Juices Maximus has returned. Spit away!
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Come on, spitty, spitty, spitty.
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
It looks like he's rallying. Looks like second place. I think that deserves a little applause. Now, how about the rest of you? Prove to me that you guys are at least as fun as a pack of llamas.
What? I know,
hear
right?
There's some scouts here from the pro spitting circuit. Ooh.
Boy, this stuff makes my spit thick.
This may be your last chance at popularity and success.
No, not my chance at popularity.
Juices Maximus has
What will I do?
returned. Spit away!
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Come on, spitty, spitty, spitty.
Once again, looks like second place. Now, how about the rest of you? Don't let this grass wither up and die. 2, 4, 6, 8.
Well, now I have an
It's
empty
an empty,
drinking
broken
mug, so that's
drinking
cool.
glass.
Turn a disgusting habit into a prestige-winning skill. Come on, it's all paid for by Booty Island Parks and Rec.
Boy, this stuff makes my spit thick.
It's a great day for spitting. Come on, it's all paid for by Booty Island Parks and Rec.
Like,
Juices Maximus has returned. Spit away!
Hey, spitter, spitter,
See, I
spitter,
swi-
spitter,
I switched
spitter.
swish, swish,
Come on,
and
spitty,
hook.
spitty, spitty.
Hey, spitter,
Last time, and it changed
spitter, spitter,
nothing.
Spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter. Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
Once again, looks like second
and no
place.
heal that time, and everything's the same. I'm...
Now, how about the rest of you? Prove to me that you guys are at least as fun as a pack of llamas. Step up to the line and test your swill.
I don't know if a pack of llamas is the most fun, but anyway.
Everybody already has the necessary equipment. Just put your two lips together and blow.
That doesn't seem to work.
Prove to me that you guys
am I
are at
doing
least
wrong?
as fun as a pack of llamas.
Capsize charters. Glass bottom boat for sightseeing or special interest voyages. There's a picture of her on it.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, I did time it there, but apparently there's another step that I forgot to do. I need a ship's horn. Which I think.
Where'd you want to go?
Might just like to cruise aimlessly for a while.
Okay, just let me know when you want to get someplace. Where'd you want to go?
Because what I need is a ship's horn. But I didn't buy it already. Oh, hello, map piece. That somehow I just missed.
That's part of the Big Whoop treasure map. I don't know a lot about the piece, but there's supposed to be a book in the library that tells all about the whole map.
Yeah,
That's part of the Big Whoop treasure map. I don't know a lot about the piece, but
I'd
there's
like to-
supposed to be a book in the library that tells all about the whole map.
I'd like to buy this map piece.
That's 6 million pieces of 8.
Oh, is that all?
Want it?
I can't afford that much.
Too bad. I'm not sure exactly what this is.
Indy's Whip TM. And of course, because
That's the real
LucasArts,
thing, as seen
they
in
could actually
Raiders,
do that.
Temple, Holy Grail, and the Young Chronicles.
Oh, there it is.
That's a real ship's horn, just like the ones used on modern ships.
I'd like to buy this ship's horn.
Alrighty, that'll be 40 pieces of 8.
Well, we have a lot of
Okay,
money, so
I'll take it.
Let me get you one from Overstock. Here you go.
is that really?
Thank you.
Is that really an antique if you have Overstock?
3-hour tour.
I guess you just have a lot of that kind of
No
antique.
volunteers? If Blackbeard were here, he'd shoot you all right now. Juices Maximus has returned. Spit away! Oh, and I thought he was
darn.
gonna go all the way. That doesn't quite qualify. Now, how about the rest of you? Thousands will spit, hundreds will win. Come on, don't be shy, let it fly.
Quietest ship horn ever.
Everybody already has the necessary equipment. False alarm. As I was saying,
Cheat? With everyone watching?
I know you want to volunteer. It's on the tip of your tongue. 2, 4, 6, 8. False alarm.
I didn't.
As I was
I didn't do
saying,
anything. That's a really
Juices
stupid looking football
Maximus
field. It's very,
has
very small
returned.
football. But like very big finger football, like paper football. Like
Spit away.
how can hundreds win if only first place wins? False advertising.
Spit? That's gross. I'm out of here.
Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter!
Hey, spitter, 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 spitter.
Yeah, I need to drink my special grog.
Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter. Hey, spitter, 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 spitter. Hey,
Did I
spitter,
soft
spitter,
lock?
Spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
Okay, good.
Spitter. Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter.
Hey, spitter, spitter, spitter!
Boy, this stuff makes my spit thick.
Valuable prizes.
Bruh,
You
bruh indeed.
stink.
Juices Maximus has returned.
Home, baby!
Right on!
Spit away.
What are you waiting for?
I don't think he's got the lips for it.
He's cleared first place. That
Steve
was
Holt.
truly awe-inspiring. Sports fans, we've seen something incredible here today. Let me congratulate you and give you this fine commemorative plaque. Way to go, Juices! Come on, let's give 'em a hand.
Oh yeah,
Of
no, they got
course,
really good voice
there are
actors.
plenty more prizes for the rest of you. So how about it, gang? Come on,
A
don't
plaque.
be shy.
Yeah,
Let it fly.
It's a plaque with an odd-looking gob of something on it.
Thousands will spit. Hundreds.
I don't know
will
why I
win.
wanted that, but I have it.
Okay, now who's gonna be next?
Well, the good news is we never have to do that again.
Where'd you want to go?
The bandage is here, done eating your salad. Oh, is this a different alley?
No more bets?
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
Jambling? I can't wait for Guybrush to cheat at this. I don't have control of my mouse.
$27 black.
Oh, All right!
You're a winner, sir. Which prize would you like?
What you got left?
We have money, an invitation to Governor Marley's Mardi Gras
I need
party,
that.
and a free pass to see the Linguini Brothers Circus.
Hey, we met them in the first game.
The money.
The money it is. Easy money.
You need to look at the readings you're doing for
Big
Saturday.
prizes
Yeah, I
for
mean, you got
just
some
one
time.
piece of
You
eight.
got like all
Hello.
tomorrow.
How you doing?
You may have for gore. Yeah, I'm sure you'll do fine.
Could you explain how this game works?
Sure, it's easy. Just tell me what number you want.
Is
and
that a
I'll
hook or a
spin the
Spaniard? I
wheel.
think it's
If your
hook in
number
the
comes
prequel.
up, you win.
Sounds simple. What numbers can I bet on?
1 to 32, red or black.
I'd like to place a bet.
Betting costs money, kid. 1 piece of 8 for 1 game.
Oh, yeah. Here.
Okay, kid. Which number you want?
Okay, 18 red, 1 black, 8 red, 24 red, 3 black. What's our lucky number, chat? 8 red? 8 red it is.
I'd like 8 red.
Okay, here we go.
22, that's a bit of a catch. I have a feeling this is
Red.
rigged.
Too bad. Better luck
That was
next
even one of the
time.
options.
Thanks anyway. I hate losing.
Excuse me, pal.
Plot twist, it's not rigged. Is it just
I
random?
want to make another bet. 28 black.
28 black it is.
Or is it like a preset, this is what it will be? You don't really know? Okay. I just figure if it's against Guybrush, it's probably rigged in some way.
28 black.
All right.
You win again. Today is your lucky day, all right. Would you like money again?
Yeah.
How much more money do you have? This guy's cheating.
Let's
You need to follow him.
please. You can't win if you don't play.
I have a feeling that's got to be the answer, but I want to try one more time.
I'd like to place another bet. Here's 1 piece of 8.
Follow that gremlin. But he doesn't
Okay,
have
kid.
the
Which
invitation
number
to
you
the
want?
governor's mansion, which is the thing I really want.
I'd like 9 red.
Okay.
Audience
Here we go.
plan. There's only 1 black option. See? Rigged. You can pay a dude to give you the next number. I figured that's what it is, considering it's the other alleyway and everything.
17 black. Too bad.
I figured there was something.
Better
Like I
luck
said,
next time.
I knew it was rigged
Thanks
against
anyway.
him.
Excuse me, pal. I want to make another bet. 22 red.
32 red it is.
Yeah, I know Beer Fox. It's you can. Part of the fun of the adventure game is stumbling around and figuring it out.
22 red.
Yeah, go for it, Quack.
Right.
You win again. Today is your lucky day, all right. Would you like money again?
Yeah.
So Green Pants will be busy his kneecaps.
You can't win if you don't play.
Just gonna casually follow him. Wait, Vay. Yeah, there has. It's.
Give me the next number.
First, give me the password. If this is 3, what's this?
2.
Right. The winning number will be 5 black.
Thanks.
Yeah, I haven't followed it deeply, but I have seen it, and yeah, it's.
What do you want, kid?
What's the next winning number gonna be?
First, give me the password. You have to get it right 3 times.
What? He
If
just did it
this
once.
is 2, what's this?
Okay, so this was 3. So this is obnoxious. This is one of those puzzles where you just have to like keep redoing it.
4?
No, it's 1.
So that's
Watch
1.
again. If this is 1, what's this?
Clearly it's 5, but it's not. And we know 3 and 2.
4?
No, it's 3.
How is that?
Watch again. If this is 3, what's this?
Two?
No, it's 5. Watch again. If this is 5, what's this?
Do you think it should? No, no, Quacksplat, absolutely, I don't. I think a lot of that conversation is, quite frankly, a little puritanical, and unhelpful. Like, there are ways of doing things that, of course, can be rooted in something good that becomes sinful, but if we're going to make it kissing is something you can only do within marriage, and like I've even seen people talking about whether or not you should kiss that often in marriage, and it's like, you are being absurd. Yeah, it's like, and there's context and there's meaning, and like, you know, our cultural norms are a factor to be considered. Not that the church always follows cultural norms, but that is a piece of the conversation, is what I'm saying. And sometimes the church says, nope, cultural norms are wrong, we need to change those. But sometimes the church goes, these cultural norms are fine. So. Premarital hold his hand, like gasp. Yeah, no, it's, and again, like, an action like that can indeed be, you know, kissing can become an object unto itself, at which point it is sinful and unhealthy. But that's like a whole nother level that, you know, giving your longtime romantic partner that you are discerning marriage with a kiss goodnight is not the same thing. Like, that's why that's why we live into a virtue-based system within our Catholic ethics. And a key part of virtue is, as St. Thomas Aquinas put it, in medias stat virtus est. In the middle, virtue is found. It's in that moderation. You know, there are things that are good, but if done to an excess or not done enough, can become a vice. We're supposed to be virtue-based? You know darn well we are, Tony. Virtue is the thing you need to learn about. I think it's a thing everyone should learn about. I think it's a good thing. But at its absolute core, sort of the core part of virtue is, one, is that which is proper to human nature. So it is something written in our hearts. It's something that's already a part of us. Is it perfect? No, especially in light of the fall. But it is something that we have within us, and it's something that we can practice and do. This is why they say, you know, patience is a virtue. It's like, well, that means that we have to practice patience. We have to grow in it. Yeah, not all Protestant traditions do as much virtue, especially sort of the evangelical tradition. But, you know, it's you know, the classic virtues espoused by Plato and Aristotle, which is where a lot of this sort of comes from and then gets baptized and integrated into a Catholic sphere through a lot of medieval writers, from Augustine through Aquinas and many others. You have the virtues of fortitude or courage, the virtue of temperance, the virtue of prudence, and what is the fourth cardinal virtue? Fortitude, prudence, temperance. Oh. Help me out here, chat. Wow, you're blinking. Yeah, when Peter and I are both blinking. Justice. Yes, thank you. Justice. And these four virtues are not kind of like the be-all, end-all. They're more the big umbrella under which other virtues can fall into. So, like, patience is a virtue, falls under both prudence and temperance. Well, thank you, game. I didn't want you to pause. So it's... but these are the four overarching ideas or virtues that are guiding all the other virtues. And it's in living them out that we kind of get better. It's a practice makes perfect mentality. Yeah, being able to think about your behavior is a metacognition thing, but that's more epistemology, but in ethics itself. And I think it's good that you love the love virtue. Like, that's kind of the role, is that virtue is its own reward in many ways, and is something that we seek. And it ultimately leads us to what is called in Greek erete, our flourishing and our goodness. And so by exercising the virtues and growing in them and being better, we will become a better human being. Now, which virtue is the most important of those four is a matter of debate in the... Yeah, and I think that's good too. I tend to side more with Aristotle, who said that temperance, mediation, is the governing virtue of all other virtues. I think it's a framework that makes sense and is consistent. And within it, so like, let's take the example of the courage or fortitude virtue. Aristotle and Plato used the example of defending the city, because citizens were the soldiers of the militia that would come to defend the city. A person of good fortitude will rise up and defend the city. A person of too much fortitude, and therefore a vice of fortitude, is going to charge out ahead of everyone else in the battle. And it's not going to be pretty. You know, if one soldier in a phalanx charges out separate from everyone else, not a good idea. The other end is someone who runs away and doesn't participate. It's like, well, then you're not defending the city, and you're being a coward, and that's a vice unto itself. And we tend to think in the modern world of vice and virtue, or vice and versus good thing. Yeah, courage is the thing between cowardice and foolhardiness. We tend to think of it as like a complete lack and the good thing, but too much can also be a vice unto itself. Eating is a great example, and another one that Aristotle uses a lot. And in it, he talks about how what is temperate for one person to eat is not necessarily temperate for someone else. You know, someone who is a wrestler in the Colosseum is going to need more food than someone who is 85 and bedridden. And so the amount they eat may be different, but the virtue they are living out can be the same. But just the same, eating too much or not eating enough are vices unto themselves. So how do you reconcile that with scrupulosity? Yeah, that's a good question. I think in regards to scrupulosity, compassion is big. Self-compassion is huge, because scrupulosity can also often be I'm not good enough, I can't do that, or I have made this mistake and therefore I am a terrible person. And self-compassion helps to counteract that and say, no, I am still an inherently good person. I think that's the case, even if we were talking in a non-theological space and just talking the philosophy of virtue, we could still say that because, like, okay, so maybe you didn't live out this one virtue fully today. That doesn't mean you aren't still a virtuous person in other ways. You know, and the thing with virtue is, again, there are some things that are always going to be objectively wrong, but there are, like I said, with the eating thing, like what is virtuous for me to eat might be different for what is virtuous for you to eat. And so knowing yourself and knowing what is sort of within your good and healthy virtuous range, as it were, and knowing that you're working towards it, I think that also helps against the scrupulosity, is a sense of progress and growth, moving away from the vice and into the virtue, and not as like a binary, either I'm in it or I'm not, but rather seeing it as the journey and being able to say, okay, this is where I have grown, this is where I have gotten stronger, this is where I'm more attuned to the presence of God. So, with the kissing example that started all of this, like, yeah, there's an appropriate amount of display of affection in a relationship through kissing. But, we can also turn that into a bad thing by either being, if you never display any affection in a relationship, guess what? You're probably not going to have much of a relationship. There's a handy thing you learned recently about the Ten Commandments for the scrupulous. Works as a kind of exam for someone wrestling with scruples. Oh, that's neat. I haven't heard of that. Yeah, and I think that's a good way. I think that's a good and healthy way to put it, is that, like, in seeking a healthy, mature relationship, you are seeking that greater unity, even, and that can be said of any kind of relationship. If it's a friendship versus a dating, like, you're still seeking that deeper heart-to-heart connection. Yeah, and that's a great way to put it, Mel. Have the prudence to know when it's becoming something more. And oh, absolutely, you have to respect her. Yeah, no, 10 out of 10. No notes on that sentence. But yeah, I like how Mel phrased it. Like, sometimes, and that's where the virtue of prudence is such an important one, because it's not, we can use prudence to look back for sure and examine our conscience. We use prudence in making our decisions, but we live it in the here and now as well. That prudence is something that is, helping us pay attention to what's going on in our head and our hearts and go, oh, this is good. Or, it's like, one thing, just bringing like a completely different example, like gambling. Like, the Catholic Church does not teach that gambling is a sin. It can become an addiction, and it can become a problem. It can become sinful, but on its own. But someone who is gambling and realizes that it is leading them towards that sinful behavior, they need to have the prudence to say, this is bad. While this is not inherently bad, I need to step away for it for my good. Yeah, someone needs to touch grass. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, some people, maybe they do discern that, there's a concept of, like, a Josephite marriage, like living a marriage, it sort of in the way of Joseph and Mary. It's not very common, but it is not without merit. it doesn't mean everyone does it. But definitely if someone, and there is a value in a witness in saying, hey, I have done X for my spiritual journey, and letting other people witness that and grow from it. But saying everyone has to do it, it's just like, your spirituality is binding for all Christians. I have several books about how that's not true. And I hate to say it this way, but a random guy on the internet does not have a certain level of canonical authority. Like, he can be learned, well-educated, be a theologian, and those people have a life and a role and voices that we should listen to, but absolute authoritative statements of faith, guess what? Those really only come from the church in exercising its hierarchical functions. And it's not to say that it's exclusively reserved to the hierarchy as like a use of power, but rather the church proclaims things. Like, even think of the idea of papal infallibility. Papal infallibility, part of its formula is that it is done by the Pope in union with the whole Episcopal College of the Church. So it's not even the act of an individual, but it is the act of the Church herself and the governing function within it. So, yeah, some guys online might need to occasionally touch grass. You trust random people on the internet for all of your spiritual direction? I don't believe you. I have met your pastor, and I have met your godmother. I don't believe you, Braeherd. So, son to the top caused a big stir. I mean, topics like that, especially saying something so definitive, are going to cause a big stir, and that's kind of the, for better and for worse, that is the way the internet works. So, yeah. So, but great question. I think this was a great discussion, so thank you for bringing it up. Anyway, let's try and figure out this counting puzzle. I don't even remember what this was, so...
2? No, it's 4. Watch again. If this is 4,
you hear some things too? Hey.
What's this?
I didn't see what his first thing was.
2?
Look, I've been generous. Most of the guys in the Gamblers Club can get it in 3 or 4 tries. Are you a new member? Or just slow?
Porque no los
Come
dos.
back later. What do you want, kid?
What's the next winning number gonna be?
First, give me the password. You have to get it right 3 times. If this is 3, what's this?
See, my thinking is it's your hand. That's a great answer. My thinking is that this is a base 5 counting system, except that he did this and he did this. Hey, Mithril. So if that was 3... Oh, this puzzle. Yeah. And I am struggling hard. My
1?
Okay, that's 1 right.
Okay, so
2 more.
3...
If this is 1, what's this?
This was 3, and this was 1. And if this is 1, this is... That's the number V. Well...
5.
That's 2. One more.
How is that 5?
If this is 5, what's this?
6. I don't know. I do not understand this puzzle. Like, I feel like I am fundamentally misunderstanding these signals. Is he adding the fingers? Is that it? Because it was 2 fingers and then 3 fingers, so that's 5? But no, you're saying it's 2.
2?
I don't.
Okay, you must be a
I
member
don't.
of the Gamblers Club. But I don't recognize you.
No, I was transferred here today. New orders.
What?
The answer is the previous hand figures.
Sorry, I had a flashback there. What I meant was that I just...
Oh
joined
my
today.
goodness.
Oh, okay. The winning number will be 6 black.
I feel dense for not getting that. I was trying to do like math conversions from one to the next and like looking at the patterns. What did you say? 6 black? 5 black? What did he say? I was so
No more bets?
confounded.
Okay, here we go.
We went full maths. I know, that's the problem. Sometimes I overthink the puzzles. This is the problem of being able to do calculus.
Five black.
All right!
You
Wasn't that the
win
number that-
again. Today is your lucky day, all right.
Oh,
Would
we-
you like money again?
Yeah. I think that's enough for me today.
Okay, Ralphie. See you tomorrow.
Did you say calculus so you can understand the Pope? Oh, did you get to the multifaceted object
Six
line?
prizes for just 1 piece of 8.
I gotta beat
Easy
him?
money.
What, like get there faster? Then why do I bother learning this password when I can just...
What do you want? I already told you that the number would be 6 black. And I only fix one game at a time.
Okay. You've seen the quote and you love it. I know. I've seen a lot of great... I haven't had a chance to read the encyclical in total yet either, but I have read some pieces. I'm going to be quoting it this
Place your
Sunday
bets, please.
in my homily.
I'd like to place another bet. Here's 1 piece of 8.
Okay, kid. Which number you want?
I'm also going to be quoting a Charlie Chaplin film.
I'd like 6 black.
Okay, here we go.
The Great Dictator. He has a beautiful speech in it.
6 black. You're a winner, kid. Which of our fabulous prizes do you want? Take your pick. You can have 60 pieces of 8, or you can have the
Duck Soup,
invitation
that's-
to Governor Marley's Mardi
That's the Marx
Gras
Brothers,
party.
not Charlie Chaplin,
Or
but also a very
you
good
can
movie.
have a free pass to see the Linguini Brothers circus. Well, which will it be?
The Great Dictator
I'd love
is
to
a
have the
very
invitation.
interesting
He
movie,
wants the
and one that Chaplin
invitation.
very openly stated he, had he known the realities of what was going on, because he didn't at the
Thanks.
time, he would
Care
not
to
have made the
make
film.
Another bet?
But it does have a very powerful speech. It has
can't
some very
win
funny
if you don't
moments because it's
play.
Chaplin, but the speech at the end is very profound and powerful. She need to win 600 more times to go on a 3-hour tour. Oh boy! Yeah, Duck Soup is a great movie too. I recommend all the Marx Brothers movies that have nonsensical titles duck soup, horse feathers, monkey business, the coconuts, which is actually a play originally. And it doesn't have a silly name, but A Night at the Opera is a really good one too. The thing is that there was a later director who took over, who did not like the Marx Brothers and wanted to do everything he could to undermine them. And that's where movies like At the Circus, At the Big Race,
See the world.
Department Store all came from.
It's
They're
a
just
great
they're not
day
as
for
good
spitting.
because of how hobbled the director
Prove to me
made it.
that you guys are at least as fun as a pack of llamas.
Is there something I can help you with?
You mentioned a party before?
Do you bring a costume and invitation?
I have an invitation.
I've got my invitation right here.
Well, what do you know? You do have an invitation. Do you have a costume?
Where's Skipper? And all the
This
rest.
is my costume.
Nobody would willingly wear such a dopey costume.
Are you saying he
Gotta go.
accidentally
Keep up the good work.
wore that costume? Okay, well.
Looks like a plank stuck in a hole in a tree.
That were all those are pouring office clothes.
Looks like a plank stuck in a hole in a tree.
Okay, so I need more planks. Clothes ration. Well, I'm gonna go give the parrot chow. Tony redeems 30-second plank. The funny thing is, I could do that, and you'd never know because my camera doesn't look down, and I'm not changing it because of... If you saw the setup, you'd understand. But it still makes me laugh that I could do that. And I could fake it quite easily.
The bag is empty.
What do you mean the
It
bag
has
is
a picture of a parrot on the front. I might hurt myself on the broken edges. My scoutmaster would kill me if he saw me use a knife like that. I don't want to make that parrot mad.
You love doing VTuber push-ups. Oh, yeah, hold on. 1, 2, 999, 1,000. Whew, I'm winded, guys.
Check out these balls. They're made of a fine iron cast.
I'd like to buy these cannonballs.
I just keep those here because they're cool. They're not for sale.
I'd like to buy these hubcaps.
Alrighty. They're 50 pieces of 8 each.
Okay.
If I can
I'll
buy
take
it, I'll
Let
probably
me get you one
need
from
it.
Overstock. Here you go.
Thank you.
I don't know why I need a hubcap.
I'd like to buy this rock and roll collector's plate.
And I'd like to sell it to you. That'll be 199 pieces of 8.
Okay. I'll
Sure.
take it.
I don't
Let me
know
get you
why.
one from Overstock.
He's speaking dollars.
Here you go.
No, it's Australia. They only have dollary dues.
I'd like to buy this well-polished old saw.
Excellent choice. That'll be 25 pieces of 8.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
He likes it where it is.
So you played Knifey Spoony.
I'd like to buy this treasure chest.
I only have one of those, so I need to keep it as a display model.
I'd like to buy this bosun's wheel.
Yeah, I like that too, but
They
it's
spell
not for
bosun in
sale.
a very interesting way. Normally, I think this is an acceptable way, but normally bosun is spelled Boatswain, I believe. Boatswain.
I'd like to buy these pirate hats.
And I'd like to sell you one of them. They are 30 pieces of 8 each.
Okay, I'll take it.
Let me get you one from Overstock.
Am I just assembling my own costume?
Here you go.
Thank you. Nah, I have a thing about lice. I always wanted one of these.
How much money do I have left? I have 60 pieces of 8 left.
I'd like to buy these gross skulls.
I just keep those here because they're cool. They're not for sale.
I'd like to buy this mask.
That's one of my favorite things in the store, but I don't have enough back stock to sell it.
I'd like to buy this left turn sign.
That's one of my favorite things in the store, but I don't have enough back stock to sell it.
I'd like to buy this anchor.
I only have one of those, so I need to keep it as a display model.
I'd like to buy these tiki lights.
I just keep those here because they're cool. They're not for sale.
I'd like to buy this peg leg.
I only have one of those, so I need to keep it as a display model.
Fine. Okay, well, I think we've bought everything we can.
Hello again.
What was that?
What kind of mishaps were there at the treasure hunt?
You had a thought.
Well, some people got
thought
carried
did you have, Mel?
away. Some graves got dug up. Horrible business. Well, enjoy Mardi Gras.
I don't have a use for it.
You claim religious exemption from AI use. The Pope told me no. Here's a meme of him using a baseball bat telling me to not use AI.
Where'd you want to go?
Walt Whimsy for animatronics. That's funny. Biography. Wait. Fat. Like Fat Island. Papalia said no. Then in Spanish, she said no.
Lick at the silver spoon. I'll have to remember that.
Cannibalism. Cannibalism. See, self-help. What? Great Expectorations by Captain Loogie. Ugh. Junk, and more junk. Viscous fluids, you can make it home. No, thank you. No, talk to the librarian.
Pardon me, miss.
What do you want this time?
I'm looking for a book.
What book are you looking for?
Do you have Lick the Silver Spoon?
Yeah, it's a great image going around.
Okay, here you go. Anything else?
I won't be needing any more books just now.
Remember, silence is golden.
Not only does he understand sin, he understands cosine too. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I wonder if I can give her this book.
Thank you.
Oh, I can. Because it was checked out from the library.
Lick at the Silver Spoon. This is a pretty
Math
useless book.
nerds.
I'm not even sure why I checked it out.
Librarians are scary. You try to avoid them. I don't know how well that will work with your job applications, is all I'm saying. Pretty sure throughout the years you've read every single book in the library in 2 different languages. Wow, okay, that's the very impressive part. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cheat and find a fish. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. I can't do chemistry. I just never figured it out. I could not understand molar equations for the life of me.
That doesn't seem to work. I think I'm too clumsy to hold the stick and tie a knot at the same time.
I do have this saw. What could you use sawing? Can speak and read it in 3 different languages. What's 3 minus 7? Oh, fair enough. So obviously English. Where are the other 2? Spanish and French. Nice. Turns out most of chemistry isn't fun. I doubt there's anything in the jail again, but this is,
Where'd you want to go?
what would I like to use a saw on?
See the world. See the world.
I hear there's some scouts here from the pro spitting circuit. Ooh. It's a great day for spitting.
And I have a plaque for spitting, but I don't know why I have a plaque for spitting. Say almost every science at uni. Chemistry was one of the best. I took 1 chemistry. Chemistry was my lowest score in all of university. I got a C+.
I don't think I should cut that.
It doesn't help that I showed up to the final 45 minutes late.
I don't think I should cut that.
Wait, I'm having an idea. I'm having an idea. Your worst is geology? Oh, I loved my geology classes. I took a lot of science classes for someone with a philosophy
Where'd
degree.
you want to go?
It helps that I did 2 years of engineering first, and that required a bunch, but even after I switched. Show the plaque to the tour lady. Did she talk about something about that? Oh, interesting. I'll have to look. In your honest opinion, it's okay for a priest not to be good at chemistry. I mean, yeah.
No, thanks. I got
You
my
don't want
own.
a polished saw?
Excuse me, could you take a look at this?
Looks fine to me.
Can you make more of them?
Yeah?
Largo Legrand will never bother you again.
Yeah. I heard Marty stuck a bunch of pins in his underwear or something. Drove him right out of town.
No, it was me.
You?
Was the
What were
reward?
you doing
No,
with
the reward
Largo's
was a
underwear?
plaque.
Well, no.
Maybe it was.
never
I don't
mind.
know.
I'd like to look around a bit.
Sure thing.
Okay, well, I thought maybe the woodsmith, which is still weird that they
Comfortable-looking
call
chair.
him that and not,
It's not for
carpenter,
sale.
might be able to help me in making more, like, look at this. Can you make more of them?
Where'd you want to go?
Home. I want to go home.
Three-hour tours. Check it out. Thanks, but no thanks. Sightseeing.
She does not
See
care.
the world.
Are you the same Kate who bought all the near grog at the Bloody Lip?
Yeah, and you can't have any of it, so don't ask.
I'm interested in chartering a ship.
Great.
Woodsmith
As I
and
mentioned,
metal
my fee is
knitter.
6,000 pieces of 8.
Don't you think 6,000 pieces of 8 is a bit high?
No, I don't.
Point to Cliff with crafting. Well, there was that Cherry Pepsi game we played that also had crafting, and then it crashed.
I'll come back later.
Okay, I'll be here. Glass bottom boat. 3-hour tours. 3-hour tours.
See, I need
Hey,
some way.
Welcome back.
And look, LucasArts logo. I need some way.
Actually, I'd just like to browse.
Sorry. Health regulations prohibit me from allowing uncertified persons free access to used interment paraphernalia.
Oh, shucks.
Excuse me, did you say used? I love the Hammond organ.
I need to get something embalmed.
Well, you came to the right place. Your loved ones deserve stand special preserve. You won't smell a whiff when we're done with your stuff.
I never knew morticians were so clever.
Old mortician joke. This is the morgue. You stab him, we slab him. You kill him, we chill him.
I'm not actually in the market for a coffin yet.
It's never too early to make funeral arrangements. Making plot reservations now ensures you a space at our popular Scab Island Internment Park, as well as entitling you to discounts on park rentals.
Rentals?
You know, for barbecues, parties, that sort of thing.
Could you
The
show
problem
me
is
that
I
coffin
need to
again?
get him in the coffin because I
Yes,
see the key back
sirree.
there. I don't know what that key's for, but
Good,
I want
solid
it.
construction on this baby. Keeps out the worms while your body firms.
Could
I
you
want to
get in
invent
and
a
show me
conspiracy
big it
about
is
how
again?
big mortuary and big
Yes,
churchery
sirree.
goes.
You know, a person's coffin should reflect their station in life. If you're thinking about one of those cheaper models, first ask
I need to wait till, like-
yourself, isn't my loved one worth the
I can
best?
close the door and then I need
Can I
to
show
hammer
you
the lid
anything
shut.
else?
I gotta go. See you later.
Maybe sooner
I can get that
than
key.
you think.
3-hour tours. Check it out.
Turn a disgusting habit into a prestige-winning skill. Okay, now, who's gonna be next?
I don't want to polish that.
Don't want your 3-hour tour. Just silence.
I can't reach that high.
Okay, so I don't think I'm going to get enough planks to fill every hole, but I need at least one other plank. And you'd think it's lots of places, but
I don't think I should cut that. That doesn't seem to work.
no, I want to flush the evidence. Can't, but that seems like a very pirate thing to do. Swamp Sorrel Slow Rot? Well, yeah, but no one's going to be looking in the outhouse. Like, it's not necessarily about how quickly it dissolves. It's just about hiding it.
Where'd you want to go?
I feel like I have a lot of threads, but I don't have a through line, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know what to do next. I guess I could... Why is the cliff there? I have a feeling we'll be able to climb it, but I don't have a rope or anything. So I'm good. I haven't talked to most of these people and told them that...
I swear I put it right here.
Hi, Wally.
Who's there? I can't see anything without my monocle.
Hey, I did it! Largo Legrand left scab.
That's great. I guess I can stop with the bricks through his window now. I hope I didn't lose it.
Little rebel Wally.
Nice map.
I like it too. I'll never be able to afford a new one. How am I supposed to work?
That sounds like a you problem, Wally. 'Cause I don't have a monocle anymore. I gave it to Captain Dread.
Hey, guys.
You should be
made
ashamed.
Largo
I'm
leave
not
the silent.
ashamed.
You made cards out of
Actually, I am a
sand.
little... I'm
Do I
ashamed
care?
of Guybrush.
I've got a laundry type question.
But
Shoot.
Guybrush has no...
Actually, nothing. I don't care about clean clothes.
No, I don't have wheat loaves.
I didn't think you would. I guess I'll be going now.
Guybrush has no standards. There is the monkey down here, and we do have a banana and a monkey organ. Oh, this guy's still looking for his little, alligator. My bad.
It's empty. I don't see anything special about it.
Because there's the metronome. I wonder... Big Mortuary and Big Church are in cahoots.
The fire's out. Yuck. A rat's been swimming in it.
I wonder who did that.
Ugh, it's all cans of fruit cocktail. I hate fruit cocktail. The barkeep might see me.
Yeah, but you've already been fired. What's the worst he's gonna do? I wonder if I can talk to the monkey. I didn't think I tried.
He's cute.
No. Oh, I cannot talk to the monkey.
Hey, don't bug the monkey.
I tried giving him a banana earlier and nothing happened.
It's a metronome. I don't want to get the monkey mad. I don't think I should use it indoors. I don't think I should cut that.
Just now figuring this out. Oh. Well, I think that's where we're going to call it for today. We at least made progress. We did things, we solved puzzles, we got items. So, thank you so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with you all today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Everything does have a link somewhere. It's just sometimes finding the madness that is a LucasArts game. We learned how to count hand signals. I was overthinking that so hard. We did have a very nice conversation as well about that. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, given bits, all that good jazz. Thanks for checking out the YouTube and the Discord. And again, hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Let's see who's live that we can raid into. Young Blake is just starting up. Can't throw you on over to his channel. Raid call is Father Raid. Go give him some love. He's a fun guy. He is a neophyte, so that's fun. I mean, he's a newly baptized Catholic. Oh, Peter, you can't be upset about that. Oh no, you're upset about the dating show. Never mind. You can be upset about that. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great weekend. Take care. God bless.